Imagine waking up one morning and realizing your thoughts aren't entirely your own. That somewhere, someone has found a way to plant ideas in your mind, to shape your beliefs, to make you act, without you ever knowing it happened. It sounds like science fiction. But for more than 20 years, it was real. A top-secret government project designed to explore how far human behavior could be controlled, altered, or erased. They called it MKULTRA. Officially, it ended in the 1970s. Unofficially, some believe it never stopped. They say it simply evolved, from LSD and hypnosis to algorithms and brain-computer interfaces, from secret underground labs to the glowing screens we hold in our hands every single day. Tonight, we're going to uncover one of the darkest programs in modern history, and then ask the question no one really wants answered. Did MKULTRA ever truly end? Or did it just go online? If you're into deep dive documentaries, hidden history, and the truth behind the world's most chilling conspiracies, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. Because what you're about to see may change the way you think. Literally. After World War II, the world was gripped by paranoia. The United States and the Soviet Union weren't just racing for nuclear supremacy, they were racing for control of the human mind. Reports emerged that captured American soldiers in Korea had been brainwashed by their communist captors. They returned home speaking in defense of their enemies, with memories seemingly altered or erased. Inside the CIA, fear turned into obsession. Could the same be done to them? Could an enemy reprogram American citizens, soldiers, even politicians? That single question gave birth to one of the most disturbing projects in intelligence history. In 1953, under the direction of CIA Chief Allen Dulles, Project MKULTRA was approved. The man chosen to lead it was Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, a chemist described by colleagues as both a genius and a fanatic. His mission was simple on paper: to find substances and methods capable of controlling human behavior. In practice, it became something far more sinister. Under Gottlieb's supervision, the CIA poured millions of dollars into secret research programs hidden within universities, hospitals, and military bases across North America and Europe. Many of these institutions never knew who was truly funding their studies. Grants were laundered through front organizations to disguise their origins, and the researchers involved often didn't realize their work was feeding into a covert psychological warfare operation. The experiments themselves sound like scenes from a nightmare. Unsuspecting citizens were dosed with LSD in bars and brothels without their knowledge. Prisoners were kept awake for days, questioned under the influence of mind-altering drugs, and subjected to electroshock treatments designed to wipe their memories clean. Hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and psychological torture were tested to see how far a human being could be pushed before their will was broken. Some experiments crossed the line from cruel to criminal. One of the most infamous cases was Dr. Frank Olson, a government scientist who was secretly given LSD during a retreat. 9 days later, he fell, or was pushed, from a hotel window in New York City. His death was ruled a suicide, but decades later, his family discovered evidence suggesting he had been silenced because he knew too much. These weren't isolated incidents. MKUltra spawned over 140 subprojects, each exploring a different avenue of mind manipulation. From drugs and hypnosis to radiation and even biological agents. The official justification was to defend freedom, by ensuring the US could never fall behind its enemies in psychological warfare. But behind closed doors, moral boundaries evaporated. In a 1954 memo, a CIA officer wrote, "We are exploring the dark side of what makes man tick." And that's exactly what they did. Subjects were treated not as human beings, but as test material. Expendable tools in the pursuit of total control. By the mid-1960s, MKULTRA had grown into one of the most secretive and wide-reaching operations in CIA history. Thousands of people had been experimented on, most without their knowledge or consent. Yet despite its scope, the program remained hidden from the public for 2 decades, until the day it finally came crashing down. The fall of MKULTRA didn't happen because of a whistleblower or a sudden burst of conscience within the CIA. It happened by accident. In 1973, as the Watergate scandal began to unravel the Nixon administration, CIA Director Richard Helms gave a quiet but devastating order. All heirs MKUGLTRA documents were to be destroyed. Thousands of files, detailing years of secret experiments, victims, and methods, were fed into shredders and incinerators. The goal was simple: erase the evidence before anyone could ever find it. But history has a way of leaving traces. In 1977, a batch of surviving financial records was discovered in a forgotten government storage room. Over 20,000 pages had escaped Helms' purge, and what they revealed shocked Congress and the public alike. These documents confirmed that the CIA had conducted hundreds of covert experiments on human subjects, often without consent, in an attempt to perfect psychological and chemical control. The revelation triggered an official investigation. The Church Committee, led by Senator Frank Church. For the first time, high-ranking intelligence officers were summoned to testify under oath about what had really happened. The hearings were broadcast live on television, exposing a side of the U.S. government few had imagined possible. As witnesses spoke, America learned that hospitals, prisons, and even universities had been turned into laboratories of human experimentation. It wasn't just rogue agents. It was systematic, funded, and approved from the very top. The names of institutions and researchers were often redacted, but the overall picture was clear. MKULTRA had been a massive, coordinated effort to manipulate the human mind. When asked about the purpose of these experiments, one CIA representative said they were searching for techniques of interrogation. But the file suggested something darker, a quest for total psychological domination. The ability to make someone do anything, believe anything, or forget everything. Public outrage was immediate. Newspapers across the country published front-page stories detailing the horrors of MKULTRA. Victims began coming forward, many of them still suffering from trauma, memory gaps, or destroyed lives. Lawsuits followed, though most were quietly settled or dismissed. Yet, even in the midst of scandal, the agency's official stance remained calculated. MKULTRA, they claimed, had been terminated years earlier, and all similar research had ceased. There was no apology, no comprehensive admission, just the assurance that the mistakes of the past would never happen again. But for many, the damage was already done. Trust in government, already shaken by Watergate, plummeted further, and the destruction of so many records meant that the full truth could never be known. Still, one line buried in a declassified document caught the attention of investigators. All programs of this nature have been discontinued. Programs of this nature, not all mind control research, not all human experimentation. Just those particular programs. It was a subtle choice of words, but for those who study the history of covert operations, subtlety is everything. It left an open question, one that would haunt researchers and conspiracy theorists for decades to come. If MKULTRA ended, what replaced it? Because as the world moved into the computer age, the tools of control were changing, and the next phase of manipulation wouldn't need LSD or electroshock. It would need data and a screen. When the Cold War entered its digital phase, the nature of control began to change. The CIA no longer needed to rely on secret laboratories or chemical experiments to influence the human mind. The battlefield had shifted from the interrogation room to the information space. By the late 1970s and 1980s, new research programs emerged under different names and new budgets. Officially, they had nothing to do with MKULTRA. Unofficially, they pursued similar goals: understanding and influencing human thought. Defense agencies began funding studies in behavioral psychology, neuroscience, and information warfare. What used to be done in hidden labs was now disguised as legitimate science. DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, started exploring how computers could predict human reactions, how soldiers could be trained to resist stress, and how technology could interface with the brain. The LSD experiments were gone, but the ambition remained the same, and to find the switch that could turn a human mind on or off. Meanwhile, the private sector became an unexpected ally. In Silicon Valley, companies were building the next generation of human-machine interaction. devices capable of collecting massive amounts of behavioral data. Every click, every scroll, every moment of hesitation became valuable information. Without realizing it, billions of people were volunteering the most intimate parts of their psychology, their fears, desires, and habits, in exchange for convenience. This wasn't the MKULTRA of the 1950s anymore. It was cleaner, faster, and infinitely more effective. No one needed to dose you with LSD to change how you think. An algorithm could do it invisibly. In the 2000s, social media took behavioral influence to an entirely new level. Platforms began to experiment with the emotions of their users, subtly altering what people saw to observe how it affected their mood. In 2014, Facebook's emotional contagion study proved that it was possible to manipulate users' feelings simply by adjusting the tone of their newsfeed. It was a scientific breakthrough and a chilling echo of MKULTRA's mindset. At the same time, defense research started to focus on something even more direct: neurotechnology. DARPA invested heavily in brain-computer interfaces, devices that could decode neural signals and translate them into commands. The goal, officially, was to help paralyzed soldiers regain movement or to control drones by thought alone. But once you can read the brain, the next step is obvious: writing back to it. Publicly available documents show that DARPA's next-generation non-surgical neurotechnology program aims to build systems capable of connecting human brains to machines without surgery. The potential is revolutionary, but it raises the same ethical questions that haunted MKULTRA 70 years ago. Because the power to connect to the brain is also the power to influence it. Governments aren't the only players. Companies like Neuralink, Meta, and Synchron are racing toward the same goal: merging human thought with digital systems. They call it innovation. Critics call it the end of mental privacy. In military circles, a new concept began to emerge: cognitive warfare. NATO documents openly describe the human mind as the new domain of conflict. Wars of the future, they argue, won't just be fought on land or online. They'll be fought inside people's perceptions, emotions, and beliefs. It's a stunning idea that victory can be achieved not by destroying an enemy's army, but by reshaping how that enemy thinks. And while it's easy to dismiss as theory, the world has already seen how information, disinformation, and psychological manipulation can destabilize nations. No LSD required, so perhaps MKULTRA never truly died. It evolved. The syringes and electric chairs were replaced by servers and smartphones. The test subjects are no longer a few hundred unwilling participants. There are billions of connected users scrolling through curated feeds that learn them better than they know themselves. The goal hasn't changed, only the tools have. In the end, the most effective form of mind control isn't the one you resist. It's the one you never notice. And that's the terrifying genius of it all: control without awareness. The perfect evolution of MKULTRA. Because what began as a desperate Cold War experiment to outsmart the Soviets has become a global system of psychological influence woven into the fabric of everyday life. You don't need a secret lab anymore, you just need attention and a way to shape it. Today, the mechanisms of control are dressed in the language of innovation and convenience. Every app, every recommendation, every targeted ad is built upon one principle: predict and direct human behavior. What started as a question of how to break a mind has become the science of how to guide one. The psychological tactics once tested by the CIA, reward loops, sensory triggers, emotional conditioning, are now tools of design. Social media platforms use them to keep users scrolling, political campaigns use them to sway votes, advertisers use them to sell certainty. And all of it works best when the subject believes they're making their own choices. In the 1950s, MKULTRA researchers struggled to erase memories with LSD and hypnosis. In the 2020s, we willingly erase our attention span through endless content and digital noise. The result is eerily similar: a mind too fragmented to question who's really in control. Meanwhile, the frontiers of neuroscience are moving faster than the ethics meant to govern them. Brain-computer interfaces are no longer distant sci-fi dreams. The first human trials have already begun. Electrodes and sensors read thoughts, decode intention, and convert it into action. It's miraculous, but also deeply invasive. The line between thought and technology is fading, and with it, the final wall protecting our inner selves. Once the CIA needed drugs to open that door, now we hand them the key willingly. But perhaps the most chilling part isn't the technology, it's the mindset that never went away. The same belief that drove MKULTRA still lingers in boardrooms, laboratories, and intelligence agencies. The idea that human thought is just another system to be optimized, studied, and, if necessary, controlled. The concept of cognitive liberty, the right to control your own mind, is becoming one of the defining human rights issues of this century, because in an age when thoughts can be read, emotions can be manipulated, and behavior can be predicted, freedom of mind is no longer guaranteed by law. It must be defended by awareness. Maybe MKULTRA didn't survive as an official project. Maybe it didn't need to. The experiment worked. Humanity learned that the mind could be shaped, and we've been perfecting the process ever since. When you look at the modern world, at the constant flood of information, the subtle manipulation of feeds, the addictive glow of screens, you start to see a pattern. Control no longer comes from fear, it comes from comfort. We're not restrained by force, we're sedated by convenience. That's the quiet brilliance of modern mind control. It doesn't demand your obedience, and it earns your participation. And maybe, just maybe, that's what KULTRA was always leading to. Not domination, but subtle persuasion on a global scale. A system that doesn't need to break your will because it already knows how to guide it. So, did MKULTRA ever really end? Maybe not in name, not in method, but in spirit. It's everywhere. In every notification that hijacks your attention, in every algorithm that knows what you'll do before you do it, in every new technology that promises to make your life easier at the cost of making your mind more predictable. Project MKULTRA was never just about the CIA. It was about the human desire to control what cannot be controlled, the mind. And that desire didn't die in the 1970s. It simply evolved, hidden beneath the smiling face of progress. History doesn't repeat, it adapts. And the next evolution of mind control won't come from a syringe or a laboratory. It'll come from a device you already hold in your hand. The question is no longer, are they controlling us? It's how much have we already surrendered without noticing? The truth is, the legacy of MKULTRA isn't just a matter of history. It's a mirror. It reflects how easily we trade autonomy for comfort, privacy for connection, and freedom for the illusion of control. When the CIA first launched, they were searching for a way to weaponize the mind, to turn thought itself into a battlefield. Today, we've built that battlefield ourselves. We scroll through it, live in it, feed every detail of who we are, and in return, it learns. Our patterns, our emotions, our weaknesses, all of it becomes data. That data predicts what we'll buy, what we'll love, what we'll fear, and ultimately what we'll believe. The old CIA dream of controlling behavior has become the foundation of digital life. Only now, it's not an agency running the experiment, it's an entire system. The architects of MKULTRA operated in secret because what they were doing was unthinkable. Today, the same principles exist in plain sight. We call them engagement strategies, behavioral targeting, or user experience optimization. We build them into every corner of modern technology, SMS, and celebrate it as progress. But progress without ethics is just evolution without conscience, and history has already shown us where that leads. The destruction of ULTRA's records in 1973 wasn't the end of an era. It was the beginning of plausible deniability. When the evidence vanished, so did accountability. The same tactic works today, but it's not documents that disappear, it's transparency. Algorithms are black boxes. Data trails vanish behind encryption and corporate privilege. Governments deny, corporations deflect, and the public moves on. Every generation believes it's too smart to be deceived. But mind control doesn't need to look like hypnosis or torture anymore. It just needs to look like choice. Look at the attention economy, the endless cycle of dopamine-driven scrolling, the illusion of agency as we pick between options that were designed to feel personal, but are ultimately predicted and guided. That's not freedom of thought, that's digital conditioning, and it's global. If Sidney Gottlieb could see the world today, he wouldn't need his lab, he'd just need a social media account. The experiment would already be running at a scale he never could have imagined. Yet there's still one thing they could never perfect: awareness. The human mind, even under pressure, can wake up. It can question, it can resist, and that's what terrifies systems of control most. Not rebellion, but realization. Because the moment you recognize manipulation, it loses its power. That's why understanding hypnosis matters, not because the exact same program still exists, but because the mindset that created it still thrives. In governments, in corporations, and sometimes even within ourselves. The hunger to influence, to direct, to possess the thoughts of others. It's an ancient instinct wearing a modern disguise. So what do? We remember, we question, we protect the one territory that no government or corporation has the right to occupy: our consciousness. MKULTRA was a warning, not just a scandal. It showed us what happens when science forgets morality, when secrecy replaces accountability, and when curiosity turns into control. The tools have changed, the faces have changed, but the game remains the same. Control the narrative, control belief, control reality. And yet, despite everything, there's hope. Because awareness is the glitch in the system. Every time we think critically, every time we choose silence over noise or doubt over blind trust, the experiment falters. Maybe that's why MKULTRA's name still haunts us. Because deep down, we know it was never just a CIA project. It was a reflection of something far older, the eternal struggle between those who seek to control and those who choose to wake up. In the end, the mind remains the last frontier of freedom. And if MKULTRA taught us anything, it's this: once you let someone else decide what's real, you're already under their control. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, you're part of the small group that still questions, that still looks beyond the headlines and asks what's really going on behind the curtain. That's what this channel is all about: digging into the hidden history, the secret projects, and the uncomfortable truths that most people ignore. If you found this video thought-provoking, make sure to leave a like. It really helps more people discover the channel and join the conversation. And then here's the crazy part: most of you watching right now aren't subscribed yet. So if you enjoy deep dive documentaries about conspiracies, secret programs, and the unseen forces shaping our world, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Because we're just getting started, and trust me, the next investigation will go even deeper. Until then, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay awake.